From New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India-US partnership has weathered several transitions and challenges. Both sides remain focused on substantive agenda and will continue to move forward, says Ministry of External Affairs. Canada's Prime Minister says he is disappointed with Donald Trump's tariff hike decision, vows to protect Canadian jobs and diversify export markets. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff visits an aid distribution site in Gaza as part of a renewed effort to mediate a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Spain airdrops 12 tons of humanitarian aid into Gaza. And Gus Atkinson takes a fifer as England bowl India out for 224 runs in the first innings on day 2 of the 5th and the final test at the Oval. So India-US ties have weathered several transitions and challenges, but New Delhi remains confident that the relationship will move forward. Briefing media, Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said that India and the United States remain focused on the substantive agenda that the two countries have committed to and are confident that this relationship will continue to move forward.
India and the United States share a comprehensive global strategic partnership anchored in shared interests, democratic values, and robust people-to-people ties. This partnership has weathered several transitions and challenges. We remain focused on the substantive agenda that the two countries have committed to and are confident that the relationship will continue to move forward.
This reaction comes as US President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday imposing new tariffs on exports from dozens of trading partners, including Canada, Brazil and Taiwan, ahead of a Friday trade deal deadline. This includes a 35% duty on many goods from Canada, 50% from Brazil, 25% for India, 20% for Taiwan, and 39% for Switzerland. Meanwhile, China is facing an August 12th deadline to reach a durable tariff agreement with the Trump administration. The order listed higher import duty rates of 10 to 41% starting in 7 days for 69 trading partners as the deadline approached. Goods from all other countries not listed would be subject to a 10% US import tax. Trump had previously said that this rate might be higher. However, in a minor reprieve, the White House said that the measures will take effect in a week. The policy includes certain exemptions as well. Goods that are loaded onto ships by August 7th and reach the US by October 5th will not be subject to new rates, provided that they were already in transit. So Trump signed an executive order increasing tariffs on Canadian goods to 35% from 25% on all products not covered by the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. The new levies come into effect from August 1st. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney expressed disappointment as US raised tariffs on Canadian goods to 35%. Carney said the US has cited the cross-border flow of fentanyl to justify its step, even though Canada accounts for just 1% of the US fentanyl imports and has been working intensively to further reduce the volumes. The Canadian Prime Minister vowed action to protect Canadian jobs, buy Canadian goods, invest in industrial competitiveness and diversify export markets.
Prospects for a two-state solution have been steadily and gravely eroded, including by the pervasive threat of Hamas terrorism to Israel and its people, culminating in the heinous attack of October 7, 2023, and the terrorist organization Hamas's long-standing violent rejection of Israel's right to exist.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump said Canada must pay a fair rate after raising tariffs on certain Canadian goods from 25% to 35%.
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. That's all. It's very simple. They have been charging very, very high tariffs to our farmers, some over 200%. And they've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump gave Mexico a 90-day reprieve from higher tariffs to negotiate a broader trade deal. The extension, which avoids the 30% tariff on most Mexican non-automotive and non-metal goods compliant with the US-Mexico-Canada Agreement on Trade, came after a Thursday morning call between Trump and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. He confirmed that the current tariffs, including a 25% duty on fentanyl-related goods and cars and a 50% levy on steel, aluminium and copper, will remain unchanged throughout the extension period. He further noted that Mexico had agreed to immediately eliminate its non-tariff trade barriers, which had previously hindered cross-border commerce. Thailand and Cambodia have expressed hopes over the new tariffs effective from August 1st. Thailand Finance Minister said that the 19% tariff rate agreed with the United States will help bolster its competitiveness globally, boost investor confidence and create opportunities for economic growth. On the other hand, Cambodia's Deputy Prime Minister said that the tariff rate of 19% on Cambodia's exports will allow it to expand more factories and to remain competitive with its peers.
As I have mentioned before, with or without Trump's tariff, it's most important for Thailand to work on increasing our competitiveness capabilities by making our production costs cheaper. This rate allows us to maintain the remaining factories in Cambodia, and we have the chance to expand more factories, attract more investors to come to invest here for the interest of our nation, that is, the creation of jobs for our people. We will continue to negotiate to lower the tariffs below 19% on some goods that are the priority goods from Cambodia.
Taiwan President Lai Ching-te said that the new 20% tariff rate set by the Trump administration on goods imported from the island is provisional, and the government expects to negotiate a lower figure.
So far, the negotiations have achieved some interim progress. The tax rate has been reduced from 32% to 20%. However, the 20% tariff rate was never Taiwan's target to begin with. We will continue negotiations and strive for a rate that's more favorable for Taiwan. The US government has also expressed its willingness to engage in further discussions with Taiwan on this matter.
Malaysia's Trade Ministry said in a statement that the revised tariff rate imposed by the United States on Malaysia was achieved without compromising the nation's sovereign rights after it stood firm on various red line issues. The positive outcome of the US tariff talks follows sustained engagement between both governments and is a significant achievement of Malaysia. Malaysia's thorough and methodological negotiating process, according to a statement from the Malaysian Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. The United States imposed a 19% tariff rate on Malaysia. As the global concern over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza intensifies, U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, and U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, visited an aid distribution site in Gaza today. Earlier, the U.S. Special Envoy met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday. This is Witkoff's second visit to Gaza this year. Witkoff has been the top U.S. representative in indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas for a ceasefire and hostage release deal. But talks in Doha broke down last week, and Israel and the U.S. recalled their delegations. Israel is under mounting international pressure to agree to a ceasefire and allow the world to flood Gaza with food, with Canada and Portugal, the latest Western governments, to announce plans to recognize a Palestinian state. US President Donald Trump on Thursday described the situation in Gaza as terrible. He said the United States recently contributed $60 million for food aid, but Hamas diverted that money and food resources.
Oh, it's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing. People are very hungry. You know, the United States gave $60 million for food, and it's a shame because nobody, you know, I don't see the results of it, and we gave it to people that in theory are watching over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food. But we gave $60 million a couple of weeks ago. Nobody said anything about it.
Meanwhile, Spain delivered 12 tons of humanitarian aid to Gaza by airdropping it over the Strip on Friday. The operation involved one Airbus A400 military aircraft dropping over 5,500 food rations. The Gaza Strip is on the brink of famine. UN agencies warned on Wednesday. Malnutrition is soaring and children under 5 are dying of hunger-related causes, with humanitarian access severely restricted. Qatar was Germany's way out of the energy crisis it found itself in after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The two countries inked a deal of LNG deliveries starting in 2026. Now, Qatar has threatened to halt any LNG delivery over a battle on an EU directive that wants to improve ethical standards of global trade. For more on why Qatar is so irked and what Germany can do, we are joined by DW's Varda Imran in Berlin on the story. Hi, Varda. Tell us about this EU directive and why it had received such a response from Qatar.
Thanks for having me. So it's actually a new EU accountability law that was adopted last year, and its aim is to fix global supply chains. That means ensuring that no unethical practices occur from the raw material stage to the finished product. Now, unethical practices like potential environmental harm or human rights abuses or child labor should be avoided throughout the whole production process. This directive also pushes companies to make climate transition plans with the Paris Agreement. Now, this is what the EU wants, and it's included it in the Accountability Directive. And that is a lot to take in for energy-heavy Qatar. Doha says that this particular directive goes beyond objectives set in the Paris Agreement and that high fines and penalties will be a big risk for Qatar Energy, which is the world's biggest LNG producer. And so it threatened to pull the plug on planned LNG deliveries.
Varda, but can the EU truly enforce such a directive?
Well, on paper, companies that don't comply with this directive could face fines up to 5% of global annual turnover, which is a lot. Now, by our calculation, for Qatar Energy, which reported close to $50 billion in revenue last year, that would be a $2.4 billion penalty. Now, looking at the other side, Europe and Germany have relied on Qatar since Russia's war in Ukraine in 2022. And currently, close to 14% of the bloc's LNG needs have been met by Qatar. Now, any kind of disruption to this flow would trigger a big surge in energy prices across Europe and in Germany. And it's not just Qatar. Other industry groups have voiced concerns, and they have lobbied against this directive in the EU. And so after intense lobbying, and somehow that was led by Germany, France, and Italy, this directive has been put on the back burner until 2028.
That was Varda Imran reporting from DW Berlin. Moving on now, the European Court of Justice has set out tough conditions for governments to declare migrants' countries of origin as safe for return. The decision potentially complicating Italy's efforts to process asylum seekers in offshore centres in Albania. In a statement, Prime Minister Meloni called the court ruling surprising and said it weakens policies to combat mass illegal immigration and defend national borders. The case is based on a complaint from 2 Bangladeshis who were rescued in the Mediterranean and taken to Albania. More from Europe, British police arrested 10 men over historical child sexual abuse allegations in northern England on Friday. The allegations relate to offences which are reported to have occurred between 1994 and 1997 and relate to 6 victims who were aged 13 and 15 at the time. Detective Chief Inspector of Bradford District Police said that safeguarding and protecting children remains the top priority for West Yorkshire Police. You're with us on DD India Live, still to come on the show. Prime Minister Narendra Modi set to visit his parliamentary constituency Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh tomorrow. Inflation rate in Pakistan rises in July after the government increases domestic fuel prices. And South Africa uses radioactive isotopes to protect rhinos from poaching.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. Back to Asia. On the case of Nimisha Priya, the Indian national facing death penalty in a murder case in Yemen, External Affairs Ministry of India said that the claims regarding the revocation of the death sentence of Nimisha Priya are incorrect. The spokesperson of MEA has urged people to avoid misinformation and speculation on this sensitive matter.
That this is a sensitive and complex case, and therefore I would urge all to be mindful that media reports based on speculation and misinformation are not helpful at all. Insofar as the reports claiming that there has been certain developments, etc., such reports are incorrect. Please wait for an update from us. This is a sensitive matter and we urge all sides to stay away from misinformation.
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh graced the Armed Forces Headquarters Civilian Services Day celebrations in New Delhi on Friday. The Armed Forces Headquarters Day is celebrated on 1st of August every year to recognize the role of the personnel who work shoulder to shoulder with the service personnel, primarily in the 3 integrated service headquarters. While addressing the event, Rajnath Singh said that the departments of the Ministry of Defence played their roles very beautifully in the confrontation with Pakistan.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान हमने देखा कि किस तरह से आपने भी हमारी सेना के हमारी सेना को बैकएंड सपोर्ट दिया था। रक्षा मंत्रालय के अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट ने भी अपनी सारी भूमिकाओं को बहुत ही खूबसूरती के साथ बहुत अच्छी तरह से निभाया।
After assuming charge as the new Vice Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Pushpendra Singh paid a personal tribute to his fallen comrades from the Indian Peacekeeping Force operations at the National War Memorial in New Delhi on Friday. In a moving gesture, Lieutenant General Singh invited the Veer Naris and family members of 5 soldiers who sacrificed their lives during a counter-ambush operation in Sri Lanka to be part of the ceremony. Reaffirming the Army's motto, "No one shall be left behind," Lieutenant General Singh, a distinguished officer from the 4th Battalion of the Parachute Regiment Special Forces, was commissioned in December 1987. He joined his battalion during the IPKF mission in Sri Lanka, where despite being wounded, he led a successful counter-attack, neutralizing 4 LTTE militants. An international conference on sovereign tech for India's digital transformation was organized in New Delhi by ASSOCHAM on Friday. Union Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh, participated in the conference. It deliberated on and showcased the latest developments in digital sovereignty. Dr. Jitendra Singh emphasized on the importance of Indian data sets for the nation's digital transformation.
The actual question should be, are you going to come out with Indian data for Indian solutions? So if you don't have Indian data, if you have a source which is providing you data which is not Indian, doesn't actually solve the whole problem. So I think, as you rightly mentioned, of course, that is okay. We have no inhibitions on seeking services from any source. But more important than that is to create our own data, and that is something which has started happening now for the first time. For example, even in genes, we have already created a repository of 10,000 Indian individuals.
As cybersecurity threats grow more sophisticated, from AI-driven malware to deepfake attacks, India is fortifying its digital defenses. The Bharat National Cybersecurity Exercise, or Bharat NCX 2025, held in New Delhi, brought together over 300 experts to tackle these challenges head-on. Organized by the National Security Council Secretariat and Rashtriya Raksha University, this two-week drill started on 21st of July and concluded today. It simulated real-world cyber threats to critical infrastructure, testing the nation's resilience. With a focus on collaboration and innovation, the event also showcased cutting-edge solutions from Indian startups. From live fire simulations to strategic decision-making, Bharat NCX 2025 has strengthened India's cybersecurity framework, fostering collaboration across sectors. As digital threats evolve, this exercise underscores India's commitment to safeguarding its cyberspace. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit his parliamentary constituency Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh on 2nd of August to inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of multiple infrastructure and development projects valued at around 2,200 crore rupees. The projects aimed at boosting connectivity, urban development and public amenities in the region are part of the ongoing efforts to transform Varanasi into a smart and sustainable city, spanning sectors such as infrastructure, education, healthcare, tourism, cultural heritage and urban development, with key highlights including road and power upgrades, riverfront and beautification of 21 parks, 47 drinking water schemes under the Jal Jeevan mission, enhanced school and hospital facilities are planned. The Election Commission of India published the draft electoral roll in the eastern state of Bihar on Friday under the Special Intensive Revision SIR initiative. The physical and digital format of electoral roll is being provided to all recognized political parties in all 38 districts of Bihar by the district election officers. The Chief Electoral Officer of Bihar and 243 electoral officers will invite the voter or any recognized political party to file their objections regarding any discrepancies in electoral roll. The objections can be made from August 1st to September 1st this year. The voters can check their details at the ECI website. ECI issued instructions for conducting special intensive revision exercise in Bihar on the 24th of last month. The objectives of the exercise were to ensure the inclusion of names of all eligible citizens in the electoral roll in a transparent manner. The last intensive revision of Bihar was conducted by the Commission in the year 2003. India's monsoon session of Parliament is underway in New Delhi. On Friday, the Parliament session saw a complete washout, with the opposition parties continuing their protest on this special intensive review of the electoral roll in Bihar. The protest and sloganeering continued on the floor of both the houses, which led to repeated adjournments of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The Speaker of the Lok Sabha and Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha requested to the opposition MPs to go back to their seats for a smooth conduct of business, but the opposition did not relent. Due to repeated protests, both houses were adjourned till August the 4th's morning. Pakistan's consumer inflation rate rose to 4.1% year-on-year in July. The Statistics Bureau said that the consumer price index rose as compared to 3.2% in June. The Bureau also said that in July, consumer price index month-on-month was recorded at 2.9%. Pakistan is facing severe economic challenges on multiple fronts. In July, the government raised fuel costs and sugar price that led to huge criticism over the sudden surge in prices. Citizens accused the government of neglecting the needs of the poor amid the ongoing economic distress. And on to sports news now. England bowled out India for 224 runs on the second day of the fifth and final test at the Oval on Friday. India's resistance lasted only 28 minutes and 34 balls as Gus Atkinson picked up 5 wickets to dismiss the visitors early in the morning session. Karun Nair was the top scorer for India with 57. Earlier at stumps on day 1, Karun Nair and Washington Sundar ensured that India didn't lose any more wickets on a day when rain and England's pacers reigned supreme at the Oval. This was also India's lowest total of the series so far. And in an effort to combat wildlife trafficking, South African scientists are inserting radioactive material into the horns of rhinoceros to make them traceable and save them from poachers. The initiative, known as Rhinoceros project, is led by the University of Witwatersrand and supported by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. It combines the safe placement of radioactive isotopes into rhinos' horns with existing nuclear security infrastructure to detect and deter illegal trade. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live, and you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.